Hey guys, welcome back to What's Up Grimes. My name is Jen and I'm sitting here as always with MK. Hey MK.
Good morning.
Good morning. So you guys, we are filming at 9 a.m. on a weekday before we both go to our grown adult lady jobs.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
Normally we film at night, but here we are. This is what worked in the schedule. So we're gonna talk
And we're
about music
doing it.
festivals. We're doing it. We're here. We're doing it. We just had a little meeting together to plan for some upcoming stuff on our TikTok. Get ready.
It's going to be wild.
Oh my grown adult lady is out here wilding. So, before we get into the music festival history that I want to talk about, what's up, Crimes? There's still nothing going on with Crimes as of this recording. She's pretty quiet. However, her plastic surgeon who did her facelift posted something that I've now realized is him trying to parody off something Elon said to his employees. And he tagged Grimes in it.
Oh.
Yeah, I figured that out this morning because I looked at Elon's
Oh.
tweets.
Oh.
That's
I was
awkward.
so confused.
That's
It's
awkward.
so awkward. I mean, if I was his employer, I don't know. I'm employee, excuse me. I don't know if I would get that joke.
I didn't get the joke, and I follow both of them extensively. So anyway, that happened.
Ah. Like the 3-month severance part, that's what he gave Twitter people. So that's tying together now. Is Elon mad that she got the facelift allegedly? And this guy maybe has a banter with Elon that we don't know behind the scenes and was kind of making a dig. I don't know if maybe C mentioned something to him about Elon. I mean, he didn't want her to get the elf ears, right? I don't think he probably wanted her to do anything.
I don't know, but it felt really uncomfortable reading it, and she didn't acknowledge it, to my understanding, publicly. And so that felt really unprofessional to me, especially as a medical doctor. But that's just my opinion. So that's what's up with Grimes this week. There it is. So this week we are back to talk about music festival history. This is one that I wanted to do because, as it turns out, there's a lot that goes on history-wise with how these even began. So here are my facts. I really want to shout out Time here because Time gave me a lot of facts. So thanks to Time. According to Time, the origins of music festivals, they actually date back to ancient Greece, where these events often involved competitions in music, arts, and sports. And if we're going to get a little bit more detailed, if you go back to the 6th century BCE, music was then introduced as featured prominently as part of the Pythian Games. Then, it should also be noted that the artistic and dance competitions predated the athletic portion of the games, and these competitions often involved live music, which featured different musicians. So that also brings us back to Claire's favorite time period, the Middle Ages. Music festivals were frequently held as competitions. Did you realize it went back that far, or am I just dumb?
Now that you've said it, I think, through my schooling days, I do remember how this is tied. But when we were discussing doing this topic, it did not dawn on me to think that far back, but very interesting.
Yeah, super interesting. Now we're moving forward to the term festival. So the term festival that we use in its modern sense came from England, and it was used to describe religious festivals. So for example, there's the Festival of the Sons of the Clergy. This was an annual charity sermon and was first put on in London in 1655. So then we go to the famed Three Choirs Festival, was established in 1724 and continues to actually take place today. Harp festivals were held in Ireland toward the end of the 18th century. Now, festivals of secular music, because remember we were just talking about the religious piece, they were first held in England in the 18th century. The first was devoted to George Handel, and this was held in 1784 in Westminster Abbey. Handel festivals continued without interruption well into the 20th century. And then there's other festivals that were held for opera, for example, starting in 1934. And now we are moving forward into the International Festival of Music and Drama that was held in Edinburgh. That was inaugurated in 1947. And then the first festival that was devoted to modern music would have been excuse me guys, I'm going to butcher this one, the Cheltenham Festival. That was held in 1945.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So there we are. So that's a very brief synopsis of music festival history. People love music. They love gathering for stuff.
Yeah, and that actually, when we were talking about this initially, this didn't dawn me either. Like Renaissance festivals are still very popular. Not necessarily music related, but they have the jousting, the food. They do have like the medieval music. So that's something that's still present to this day. I know the King Richard's Fair is super huge still.
Yeah. And those are really fun to dress up and go to. So, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're looking at just how popular music festivals are today, if you look at 2019 at Coachella, according to the stats that I looked at, advance tickets for 2019 Coachella sold out in 2.5 hours, an hour faster than they sold out in the year prior, according to the Palm Springs Desert Sun. Additionally, for the first time since 2013, Bonnaroo sold out of 2019 tickets with 80,000 people attending, according to the Tennessean. Through help from large music conglomerates, festivals like Coachella and Bonnaroo have become akin to household brand names. Everybody knows what Coachella is, for example, in my life. Everybody, for better or for worse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lastly, the most successful festivals do not rely on one artist or genre. For example, if you look at Summerfest in 2019, the roster included Lionel Richie, The Killers, Jennifer Lopez, Billie Eilish, Lil Wayne, Snoop Dogg, and The National. So, of course, the point of that is that if you provide a diverse experience, you're going to get more of a diverse audience, thus upping your numbers. So that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, they schedule it out. So even if there is a diverse roster, you are still able to see multiple people and pick and choose who you want to see on different stages.
Yeah. So that's some basic history going back. You guys, I cut out so many facts because I had so much to say, and then I was like, nobody cares about the small details that I had initially posted and then took out when I was doing the research. So that brings us to the more notable festivals.
Yes. So notable festivals, credit Spin Diddy 2021. So the Newport Jazz Festival. Shout out to Newport.
Oh, yeah.
Right by me. So the Newport Jazz Festival takes place in Newport, Rhode Island. Has been actively running since 1954. I did not know that. It may arguably be the most historically significant jazz festival. I mean, is there another one?
There's a lot of them
I don't know.
I looked up. I'm not
jazz
into
festival?
jazz.
I mean, yeah. My son loves jazz. He's 8 years old. He's so much cooler than me. Loves the jazz.
Is India
like,
hipster?
Who is this kid? Maybe. But it's authentic. It's not like forced.
Oh,
so
well,
then he's just cool.
He's cool. The kid's cool. Come on. Like, even just seeing pictures, I'm like, the kid's gonna be cool when he grows up. You know?
So among the festival's highlights included a number of memorable appearances by Miles Davis. One of these was highlighted on 1964 album Miles and Monk at Newport. Wow. I didn't realize huge people like that were at that jazz festival. Could you imagine seeing Miles Davis? I mean, epic. And especially in Newport.
Yeah. Newport, I don't know if you guys that are listening have been to Newport. Newport's very small. Rhode Island in general obviously is like a blip on the map. Rhode Island's very small. Yeah, so where are all these people staying? I need to know. That's all.
They book out those mansions like a year in advance.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And side note, people tried to, I know a bunch of people that tried to rent out, Airbnbs of mansions at Newport over the summer. HBO had booked out all of them because of that show, The Golden Age. So no one could book out anything.
Have you seen the show?
I have. Yeah. It's pretty good.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be more like Downton Abbey-ish, which I'm obsessed with. I got through the first
same creator.
season. Yeah, that's why I thought it was gonna be just as good. I got through the first season of that show because I've been to all the mansions out in Newport, and that was really fascinating to me. And then after season 1, I was like, that's enough. But it's a good show. It's just not as, I don't know, as addictive as Downton Abbey, but just my opinion.
I mean, Downton Abbey's kind of one of a kind type show. Golden Age, I mean, it has really great people on it and the costumes are beautiful, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Anywho, so the 1958 festival was highlighted in the 1960 acclaimed documentary film Jazz on a Summer's Day. That film featured festival performances from Louis Armstrong, Chuck Berry, Dinah Washington, and Mahalia Jackson. The Newport Jazz Festival moved to a couple of different locations before moving back to Newport in 1981. That's crazy. I wonder if it stayed in Rhode Island or kind of bopped around.
It bopped around, apparently. When I was reading about it, it bopped around and then ended up back in that state.
Yeah. So did they call it the Newport Jazz Festival still? They're like, it's Newport Jazz Festival in Maine.
It's a good question. I don't know.
Anyway, even though it may no longer have the same significance, it continues to be a popular festival draw.
There you go. If jazz is your thing.
Yeah, if jazz is your thing, it's still to this day, obviously.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds, yeah. So moving on to Woodstock 69, the Woodstock Music and Art Fair, which took place on August 15th through 18th, 1969, may just be the most famous music festival ever. Agreed. I would agree with that. It was definitely a defining moment in music and pop culture history. The event attracted 32 acts that performed in front of over 500,000 people. Could you imagine? I've never been at such a big festival with that many people around. Like, especially post-COVID times, thinking about that, it's anxiety driven.
I know, and especially because I know you're about to get into this, but there were more people than were expected to be there, and the sanitary conditions broke down really quickly, and I would have been out, man. That wouldn't have worked for me.
Yeah. So the festival was generally meant to be a for-profit venture, but when 500,000 people showed up, organizers sold tickets for just under 200,000. That's crazy. Oh my God. And they didn't have adequate fencing. It became a free concert, considering sheer volume, poor weather conditions, and inadequate facilities. It was amazing that the festival goers were able to peacefully coexist, which was not the case later on, as we'll find out soon enough.
No.
Since the original festival, 5 more Woodstock festivals have taken place, with the most notable being 94 and 99. There's a documentary that's really good about, I don't think is it the 94 or 95, 99 one, because it was a horrific disaster.
Okay, so there's really good documentaries. There's one on Amazon, and I should have written down the name of it. There's one about the original 69 that's really well done, that talks about how it was super chaotic and they ran out of food, and so like nearby houses and families were bringing food into the festival so that people could actually eat, because the roads were so backed up you couldn't get out and there was no cell phone service, etc. The one you're talking about is about 99. Because 99 was a dumpster fire, literally. But before that,
it was very bad.
You gotta cover 94, because 94 was equally as problematic, although people weren't burning the place down at 94, so
That's true, yes. So backtrack, Woodstock 94 took place on August 12th through 14th and is quite often referred to as the commercial Woodstock or Mudstock. No thank you. Over 300,000 attended, which was more than organizers anticipated, which resulted in some issues with security. One of the notable performances at Woodstock 94 was Green Day's set. They started a mud fight with the crowd. I remember seeing videos of this.
Oh, yeah.
Which spiraled out of control when mud-covered fans hopped on stage, and one of the security guards accidentally tackled Green Day's bassist, Mike Dirnt. There was also an unofficial free concert, which took place at the original Woodstock site. It was organized partly by Richie Havens, who also performed at the original. And it was attended by approximately 130,000. So then the dumpster fire that was Woodstock 99 took place on July 22nd through 25th. It was attended by approximately 200,000 people. Unfortunately, instead of being about peace and love, it was marred by rapes, fires, and violence. So interesting. Over 30 years 30-year span, how much time has changed people, you know, made people not about peace and love, really just nasty. Just it's very sad how the world has changed from that period. Something not going well, and then, like you said, nearby houses bringing food, trying to be helpful, has changed to a total disillusioned era where people are fighting, there's rapes, there's no facilities. I remember seeing, like, it's just an absolute disaster. Did anyone die?
Disgusting. I don't think so, from what I remember, and I think this documentary that I'm referring to is on Netflix. I am almost 100% positive.
It was on something. It
It
may
was
have
on
changed
something
places.
Totally worth watching, because you're mentioning the facilities that broke down. So I almost gagged during this documentary. Let me back it up. I should first say that the documentary does a really good job of exploring what exactly happened, and a huge part of what was happening was kind of this white heavy metal music had infiltrated the scene and was very angry at the time. So if back in the day of like Metallica and Korn and kind of riling up your audience. Limp Bizkit was one.
Yeah.
Being really angry at the time. And so what happened was the bands were encouraging this behavior. It started in mosh pits, and then kept encouraging people to burn down the place and get violent. And so they think that a huge part of why this happened was because the people were influenced by who was on stage, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Additionally, they talk about how people were like rolling around in the mud, similar to Mudstock, but the mud was actually human waste because the facilities broke down and overflowed, and people didn't know that the mud was sewage.
You would know as soon as you hit it, I would assume.
This is not my scene.
Definitely not my scene either. I mean, of course I like some of the bands, but that's a very good point that you made about how not only just how life and the world had changed 30 years between the first Woodstock and the last 99. They were influenced by the music. The music was more violent. It wasn't really about, even the rock and roll from 69 was essentially, in comparison, harmless and didn't evoke violent or negative behavior.
Yeah, and so that's the breakdown. The culture. Yes, the culture and the music in our culture, because music is so influential. And MK and I talk all the time about how you're so influenced by the people that you're surrounded with, and you'll start doing things that you can surprise yourself with and do a 180 based on who you're around. And I think that's true.
Didn't you say it's 5 people?
Yeah, you're most influenced by the top 5 people you spend time with, so choose carefully.
Yes, and that can change over time. So does that mean you change when you change your surroundings, or do you kind of stand your ground and influence? Are you the influencer?
Which is such a good point, because when we discuss it, it's in terms of Grimes, because the people around Grimes have changed. And so we see changes in Grimes. So for example, going from I don't want to be sexualized at all to I'm going to be heavily sexualized in my pictures and my music videos. And is that because of who you're now surrounding yourself with?
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, her career is kind of like the microcosm of Woodstock, right? You start at the beginning, it's harmless, it's a beautiful event, and then it turns into, it can change over time. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I mean, Woodstock 99 is a dumpster fire. I wouldn't say Grimes is a dumpster fire, but it's certainly different from where she started out.
Absolutely. And I know that some people argue that that's growth and change, and everybody has their own opinion, and here we are. It's just different.
Here we are. All right, so moving on to the next big hitter, Coachella. So the first Coachella took place in 99. Wow, I didn't know it went back that far. In the Coachella Valley in California. It has since become one of the more prominent North American music festivals. Not only does this feature a diverse group of marquee performers, but in recent years, it has also featured some notable reunions. The event features musical artists from many genres of music, including rock, pop, indie, hip hop, and electronic dance music, as well as art installations and sculptures across the grounds. Several stages continuously host live music. So that sounds very much like, I always akin Coachella with Burning Man.
Oh yeah.
It seems very similar. I guess Bonnaroo is similar too, but Bonnaroo kind of is more like Woodstock in my opinion. Just the general vibe of it seems more Woodstocky.
It's a good point. Okay, guys, you have to look up Coachella documentary on YouTube. It's super long. And as someone who does not normally feel emotional when watching videos, when you watch the Coachella history documentary, I felt emotional like multiple times through it because it does a really good job of breaking down the different eras of Coachella up to the modern time period. And it does a really good job of showing the technology advances with Coachella. So go Google that one.
Yeah, and this next point is interesting. So 2003 was considered like the breakout year in terms of increased media attention, which makes sense because I didn't hear about it until my early 20s, like college era, which is kind of around this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that year's lineup included the Beastie Boys, Red Hot Chili Peppers, White Stripes, and reunited Iggy Pop and the Stooges. That's pretty epic.
Mm-hmm.
Another notable moment took place in 2012, which featured a hologram of Tupac. Oh, that was at Coachella?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Performing during Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg's set. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So,
yeah, I've never been to Coachella. I knew a lot of people that would go when I lived in California. They would go, they would get their tickets immediately. Some people couldn't get tickets. That's how quickly these things sell out, and they're not cheap.
That's what I was going to say is the joke that I see all the time is, daddy paid for it. Like, because it's a bunch of college kids. And it's like, how'd you pay? Like, it's so expensive.
Yeah. Well, and there's another relatable point about Burning Man and Coachella is there is that dress up dystopian type look that you kind of have to have when you go there, right?
Yes.
It's almost like another world. So there's another one like it too. I don't know if you've ever heard of Lightning in a Bottle.
Mm-hmm.
That's more like EDM and EDC, where you dress up and you become like another version of yourself, kind of like how we feel when we do our podcast, right? Yeah. We get to highlight the version of ourselves that gets to be wild and fun and crazy. So those festivals really evoke that type of behavior and expression, which is really cool.
Yeah, I love that. It's escapism.
Yeah. Summerfest. I'm not sure what this one is. So the legendary Summerfest. I'm like, what is this? Legendary Summerfest lasts 11 days and was held uninterruptedly between 1968 and 2019. Wow. While the 2020 edition was canceled, Summerfest bounced back and returned to action in 2021. Have you heard of this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. I must have been under a rock. I don't know.
Grown adult lady things,
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time. Up until 99, Summerfest held the Guinness World Record for the world's largest music festival and reigns pretty close to the podium today. Record attendance, 830,000. Where does this take place?
I don't remember.
Oh, man. I don't know why I've never heard of it. Oh, goodness. Okay. So, Fire Festival. Have you guys heard of that? That documentary was so crazy. So, Fire Festival was a fraudulent luxury music festival founded by con artist Billy McFarland and rapper Ja Rule. So random. You're like, what? Okay. It was created with the intent of promoting the company's Fire app for booking music talent. The festival was scheduled to take place on April 28th through 30th and May 5th through 7th, 2017 on the Bahamian island of Great Exuma. Did you see this documentary?
So there's two out there, and I forgot which one I liked better. And then there's like a follow-up documentary that talks about Billy and all of his exploitations that's also very good. Oh, I'm obsessed with them because part of me does not feel bad for people. I feel very bad for the citizens of the island. I feel terrible. For everybody else that went to this thing, I don't feel bad at all. Like, I think it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary. You want to trust people, you want to give them your money to go have a good time. They had like no food. Like the food they handed out, I remember seeing people post pictures of the food
Oh
and
yeah, the
the
cheese
lack of
sandwiches.
what. Oh, right. It's like cafeteria food. Worse than that, in like styrofoam. The cabanas were like in disarray.
So the
Wasn't even
cabanas
really
were
there.
emergency tents. So they were like what FEMA would give out when something has come through your city and decimated your home. And so they were FEMA emergency tents, but they were soaking wet because they had had a storm and nobody knew where their luggage went because when they arrived, luggage was just kind of taken from them. And the housing you had paid for was not guaranteed. So people didn't know where they were supposed to sleep. I would have been
Yeah.
freaking out. It's not like you can go back to your car and say, like, okay, I'm out of
Yeah.
here. That was fun. You know, I would have been freaking out.
Yeah. And there were notable people promoting it too, like Hailey Bieber, Kendall Jenner, and Emily, I never know how to say her last name, Ratajkowski.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like models, very well-known people promoting an event. So why would there be an issue, right?
Yeah, right.
Seems totally normal.
Right.
That scares me. If I were to go to a festival, it would probably be like somewhere local that's more well known. You know, I wouldn't take a chance like that.
Yeah.
Very crazy. Yes, you're right. There are 2 documentaries about the event of the festival released in 2019. There's one on Hulu. There's one on Netflix. It was also featured on an episode of the CNBC series American Greed. The amount of anxiety this guy just didn't even like express, like, is he a sociopath? How do you not feel complete and utter anxiety when something is definitely not going the right direction and you had time to say, hey, we gotta just end this, we gotta pull the plug?
I think what people discovered was that it was open fraud and a true belief that he thought it was going to come through. So knowingly committing fraud and thinking it's still going to come to fruition, like ideas of grandeur that are delusional.
Yeah.
Absolutely delusional, because everybody else around you can see it's not going to work and people could die and you're not taking it seriously. Yeah. So that's what the documentaries explore. They're definitely worth watching. Apparently this is the documentary episode of What's Up Grimes, where we're going to tell you to go watch a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Homework, people. Homework. Yeah. So in March 2018, McFarland pleaded guilty to 1 count of wire fraud to defraud investors and ticket holders, and a 2nd count to defraud a ticket vendor that occurred while out on bail. What's wrong with you? Like, he had the capacity to do normal work and a normal job. Why put yourself through this just because you have delusions of grandeur and you think it'll work out somehow?
What a butt. Just a butt.
Yeah. So did you want to get into the Grimes related festivals?
I sure do. So we're going to talk a little bit about Grimes related festivals, the ones that are pretty notable and you hear a lot in interviews. And I'm going to start with South by Southwest, because South by Southwest is one that we see in a lot of her interviews, her like old school interviews that we love. MK, do you remember that outfit that she used to wear? She used to wear like 3 of the same outfits, right? When she first started. But this one was the green one with like the black chest piece. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
That's what I identify her interviews at South by Southwest, and like the sunglasses on the head with like the green self-dyed hair, you know. So South by Southwest,
green hair.
The swamp green hair that I miss.
I know.
I do. South by Southwest is an annual conglomeration of parallel film, interactive media, and music festivals and conferences. It's organized jointly, and these take place around mid-March in Austin, Texas. So it began in 1987, continues to grow every single year. In 2017, this conference actually lasted for 10 days, with the interactive track lasting for 5 days, music for 7, film for 9 days. South by Southwest Music is the largest music festival of its kind in the world, with more than 2,000 acts as of 2014. I'm going to pause there because one of the things that I really wanted to do in terms of guests on the podcast is I've been reaching out to people who have worked in these festivals, whether it's lighting designers or coordinators, because there's a lot of work that goes into putting these on.
Yeah. Not just that capacity, but making sure people are safe. There's the correct amount of people making sure, there's proper accommodations, there's proper food. It's a lot.
Yeah. So I started looking into this because when you and I talked to Z's, one of the points that she stressed is there's so much that goes on behind the scenes of things like music videos, right? And there's production designers who work around the clock making these things happen. So I started Googling, like, I forgot something about putting on South by Southwest. I don't know. And all these names popped up of interviews with these lighting designers and people that organize these events. But then when you look them up online, they don't have many followers. Some of them don't. And I'm like, man, like, it must be hard when people don't actually know your face, but you did all this.
Yeah, you're behind the curtain,
Yeah.
But you make the experience. It in my opinion, those are the most important people.
Absolutely. These incredible artists, really. So the music event has grown from 700 registrants in 1987. That's the first year of the conference. Then in 2018, they clocked in at 161 attendees. These interactive events have grown each year, and there are 32,000 registrants that attended the event in Austin in March of 2013. Typically, bands cover their own expenses for travel and lodging. All performers are then offered a cash payment or a wristband package that allows them to access all the music events. That moves us into the film and the interactive portion of South by Southwest. The film conference section spans 5 days, and that consists of panels and sessions and welcomes filmmakers of all levels. And then there's the interactive portion that's focused on emerging technology, which is, of course, fascinating, especially with Grimes. The festival includes a trade show, speakers, parties, and a startup accelerator. That's a lot over the course of 10 days. I can't imagine being in charge of that.
There are so many people that are making this happen. It's almost like a music festival plus Comic-Con almost.
Yeah.
Or just like a straight up film festival merged all into one.
Yeah.
So that must be a very intense 10 days for them.
To say the least. That brings us to the last festival I wanted to discuss related to Grimes, which is the last festival really we've seen Grimes at that's been this big and has been live streamed to us as fans. That's Electric Daisy Carnival, also known as EDC. EDC is an electronic dance music festival. Its flagship event, EDC Las Vegas, which is the one that we saw streamed, is held in May at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway and is currently the largest electronic dance festival in North America. The event features electronic dance producers and DJs and incorporates a variety of electronic music, including house, techno, drum and bass, and dubstep. Crazy.
I would love to go to that one.
Same.
It's just so pretty and beautiful, and the ambiance and experience must be really fun.
The stages are insane. Like, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Go artists.
What was that other festival she went to? She DJ'd it was in Florida. Do you remember? And there was like a lot of tech panels. It was the picture where she had the braids and like those like Mad Max type glasses.
Yeah, and I can never remember the names.
We'll have to look it up, but that was another one that I had never heard of and looked really cool. Like the tech panels combined with music, and they were really like polarizing panels too. Like, I think those are brilliant to combine those type of discussions with entertainment. Sounds so fun.
Oh yeah. And it gets better because in addition to the music, there are 3-dimensional superstructures, colorful glow-in-the-dark environments, and LED lit flora. There are also interactive art installations throughout EDC, free-roaming carnival performers, and carnival rides. Now, since its inception, there are other EDC events that have been held in other states and abroad. That includes Mexico, Puerto Rico, and the UK. Currently, EDC is held annually in Orlando, China, and Mexico, along with the main Las Vegas event. In 2009, EDC became a 2-day event, and in 2011, a 3-day event. In 2018, EDC Las Vegas expanded the festival to include the on-site camping experience, and recent iterations of the festival have featured 8 stages, each with a unique set and specific genre of EDM, 18 carnival rides, 4 Ferris wheels, and a staff of more than 5,000 people. In 2019, access to purchasing tickets to EDC was expanded to mobile phone apps for convenience. Technology!
Yeah. Speaking of which, I wonder in the future how much we will rely on digital festival experiences. Or it's trying to become a thing.
It is trying to become a thing.
I'm curious how it's going to pan out.
And I'm like you, I wonder if that is going to pan out. I wonder if that's, like, to me, that's not the same experience. I know that's what Grimes wants. Grimes has talked about it years ago. It's not the same.
And Ouroboros, shout out to Ouroboros, Paula and Allison. So I think that there's something there, for people that may have social anxiety, people that feel more of a presence or more like their authentic selves in a digital atmosphere. True. May benefit from that. True. But I'm curious to see how that pans out, because that is the future.
It is the future, and I'm here for it. In May of 2022, Grimes DJ'd EDC, and this was a live streamed event, which was awesome for those of us that could not make it. And of course, that's posted to YouTube, and I like to listen to that a lot. Art was also dropped to the audience via satellite during the event. So, and I feel like EDC, it really is the essence of Grimes. The art installations, the colorful nature of it, the music, I don't know, it just feels very Grimes.
It's very Grimes, very, very Grimes. I like the component, the videos she's making now with the DJ sets, because that wasn't always there. That's something that she obviously had to work on and build and see exactly what she wants for each song. I mean, clearly there's a lot that goes into planning that.
Yeah. And I know just from following artists that work on her team, the amount of work that they pour into those videos behind her is insane. So shout out to the artist. Always shout out to the artist.
And they're unbelievable. I mean, she was my first experience seeing like digital experience, like art installation experiences with the music. And then I started following like all of these rave Instagram pages and what people can do at those just DJ events is unbelievable. Like the experience, the 3D almost, it feels like it's in your face hologram type. It's just really crazy. I can't imagine actually being present at one of those.
Crazy and beautiful, and I hope to see more from C. I'm kind of wondering if now she's just going to DJ from here on out. It's kind of what it looks like. But I would like to see more, because I really like seeing her outfits and the way she does her hair. And last time she had the green hair that glowed, and that was really cool that I saw her DJ. Yeah. So hope to see more of that.
I agree. I mean, whether it's DJing or book one, whatever she decides to do, if she's out there, we'll be there for it.
Very true. I think we're at book 2.0 at this point, because who knows what's going on with that, but hey, we're here for it.
Yeah. I mean, I was listening on YouTube. There's like a speculative book one. Somebody put that together, and I just listened to the whole thing, and I was like, this is an album. This is, it's songs I didn't even think, like Pretty Dark. Dark Souls, like, and a lot of it really seems like a conglomerate of Miss A plus Art Angels.
Yeah.
It's not as dark. It's a little more hopeful.
Yes.
Which, come on, it's there. But no pressure.
No pressure. I go back and forth. Like, no pressure, but can you drop the album? Like, that would be great. Well, guys,
it's just so good.
It's so good. Stick around with us. We are going to be back. This is what day is it? It's a Thursday. MK and I are going to be back really this whole weekend recording with guests. So
Yeah.
we'll be around. We appreciate you guys so much, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.